Forget what you heard on ESPN this week. Forget the national desks pretending Big Blue is a footnote in this league. The real story out of East Rutherford is a move most of the NFL stopped making 10 years ago, and Harbaugh just made it anyway. First, a star wide receiver and NFC East rival snatched right out from under us. Then, a former first-round tackle whose seat on this roster is somehow getting hotter, not colder. And then the one that changes everything. By the end of this video, you'll know why the G-men just quietly rewired their entire offensive identity, and why not one of the big shows will tell you the truth about it. Big Blue Nation, this one is for you. Turn on any national NFL show right now. Count the minutes they spend on Philly. Count the minutes on Dallas. Now count the ones on the G-men. 0. That silence is not an accident. The suits in Bristol decided Big Blue's rebuild is boring, so they buried the story. Fine. We do this ourselves. If you're sick of the mainstream ignoring what's actually being built inside the facility, tap the subscribe icon and flip the bell to all. Drop "Let's Go Giants" in the comments so ESPN sees that Big Blue Nation actually shows up when nobody's paying us to. Let's start with the punch to the gut, because you deserve the truth up front. Word out of East Rutherford is that Big Blue was in the room. Big Blue had a real conversation, and Big Blue walked away from Stefon Diggs. And an NFC East rival did not. He is now suiting up inside our division. He is now catching passes twice a year against our secondary. And every insider who covers this football team is quietly whispering the same thing coming out of the facility. Schoen had a shot, and Schoen passed. Now, I want to be careful here. The reports on why New York did not close could suggest cap flexibility issues, could hint at medical concerns, could point to a system-fit debate inside the coaching staff. If those reports are accurate, there is a defensible reason we did not land him. But let me tell you what this feels like from the outside, and I am not going to sugarcoat it for you. It feels soft. It feels like a franchise that had a chance to twist the knife on a division rival and chose the safer meeting room instead of the bold press conference. Here is my take, and I do not need a hedge for this one. I am not calling Schoen a fraud. I am calling this a warning shot. Because for 2 straight off seasons, Big Blue has watched top-tier weapons land somewhere else in the NFC East. The Eagles keep collecting. The Commanders keep collecting. And New York keeps repeating the same line. We are building through the draft. Fine. But at some point, building through the draft becomes the nice phrase we use when we quietly lose a bidding war. Mark my words, if Jaxson Dart hits a rookie wall in December because the receiver room is thin at the bottom, everyone in Big Blue Nation is going to point at this exact stretch and say it started right here. But, and this is the pivot most fan channels are going to completely miss, the Diggs miss is not the story. It is the appetizer. Because while the timelines were exploding over that news, something much quieter happened at the facility. A decision that tells you exactly what Harbaugh actually believes about this offense. And it directly affects a name a lot of you have been waiting on for 4 straight years. Somebody's typing "Cope" right now. Type it louder, because you're going to need it in about 60 seconds. Neal. Say the name out loud. Now say it again, because if the reports coming out of practice are anywhere close to accurate, his situation on this roster just got a whole lot more complicated. Sources hint the coaching staff is running fewer and fewer packages that put Neal in a spot where he can win one-on-one. The rotation could shrink. The reps could quietly slide over to somebody younger, somebody the front office has more runway to develop. And every single body Big Blue adds up front seems to push the former first-rounder 1 seat further down the bench. Now here is where I take a position, and half of you are going to hate me for it. I will say it anyway. Neal is running out of runway in East Rutherford. He is running out of coaching patience, he is running out of narrative, and he is running out of the benefit of the doubt that a top 10 pick usually buys you in this league. Harbaugh does not do sentimental. He does not care what round you were drafted in. He cares who blocks his defensive end in practice on a Tuesday. And right now, Neal is not that guy consistently enough to protect a rookie quarterback in a September opener. This is the hill I am dying on. Fight me in the comments. And that leads me straight into today's master question, because I want your voice on this one loud enough that the whole channel hears it. Here it is. Rate this Big Blue front office decade 1 to 10. Not the season, the decade. If Neal at 7 overall becomes another buried first-rounder, and that miss sits right next to a Diggs miss in the same news cycle, what is the honest grade? 1 is a full teardown. 10 is trust the process completely. Drop your number in the comments. Just the number. I will read the count at the end of this video, and I will pin the sharpest reply, whether I personally agree with it or not. And a quick reminder while you are typing, if you have not already, subscribe. Because the next segment is the one the national shows are actively refusing to cover. It is the move Harbaugh just made that tells you the exact blueprint for the 2026 offense. And once you hear it, you cannot unsee it. Alright, deep breath. This is the one. Act 1. The setup. Most of the league buried the fullback position 10 years ago. You know the story. Spread the field. Get a fifth wide receiver on the grass. Throw it every down. That is the modern NFL. That is the ESPN gospel every Sunday morning. Every general manager on planet Earth agreed with it. Except one building. And that building sits in East Rutherford, right off the New Jersey Turnpike, and it just told the rest of the league to eat its analytics. Act 2. The reveal. Big Blue just signed a fullback. Not a hybrid tight end who lines up in the backfield sometimes. Not a passing game weapon we are calling a fullback for tax purposes. A real 6'4", downhill, lead-blocking fullback. And to make room, Schoen cut a tight end. Read that again. In the year 2026, the New York Giants added a fullback and subtracted a pass catcher. On purpose. That is not a depth move. That is a philosophy printed in a press release. That is a coaching staff planting a flag on their offensive identity for the entire year, and doing it while nobody outside of Big Blue Nation is even watching the transaction wire. Act 3. The depth. Why does this actually matter to you? Because this signing is Harbaugh whispering the quiet part out loud. He is telling you the 2026 offense is going to be built around downhill runs, around a smash-mouth short yardage package, around a goal-line personnel group that finally converts on 3rd and 1 instead of getting stuffed and punting on 4th. He is telling you Jaxson Dart is not going to be asked to sling it 42 times a game as a rookie. He is going to be asked to hand the ball off, run play action off of it, and take his shots downfield from a lead-blocked run look with a fullback clearing the alley. That is old-school football. That is Harbaugh football. And it is the exact identity this franchise has been missing since the Coughlin era ended. And by the way, quick echo on the master question. If this is really the plan, does that grade 1 to 10 just jump up for you? Type the new number below the old one. Act 4. The impact. Here is where I plant my flag. And if you are still with me at this point in the video, smash that like button so YouTube knows Big Blue Nation is here in numbers, because the algorithm is actively hiding this take from everybody else. If Harbaugh actually commits to this identity for a full season, the Eagles' front seven has a new problem. The Cowboys' undersized linebackers have a nightmare on their hands, and the Commanders' defense has to spend a full week of practice on personnel groups they have not seen since 2017. Our new 6'4" fullback is not a novelty act. He is the hinge. He is the piece that tells us Harbaugh is not building around finesse. He is building around collision. This is the hill I am dying on. This is the single most important roster move of the Schoen era. Not a receiver. Not a corner. A fullback. Big Blue is going to punch you in the mouth. Now pull the camera all the way back. Missed on Diggs. Losing patience with Neal. Signed a 6'4" fullback and cut a tight end to do it. Every single national show is going to frame those as 3 unrelated transactions. They are dead wrong. They are the same move. Big Blue is done trying to win by out-finessing the rest of the NFC East. Schoen and Harbaugh just told you, without ever saying it into a microphone, that the identity of this football team is now toughness, trench control, and a rookie quarterback protected by a real run game, not a spread offense chasing yards on 2nd and long. If you wanted a fireworks show, you are going to be disappointed. If you wanted a football team that finally punches back in December, this is exactly what that looks like on day 1. All right, one last ask, and it is the real one. If this breakdown gave you something the national desks refuse to give you, do the 2-second thing that keeps this channel alive. Tap subscribe, hit the bell for all notifications, and drop "Let's Go Giants" in the comments so I can see who rode this one all the way through. Because coming up next we are going deeper. I am putting together the film breakdown on exactly which run concepts Harbaugh is about to unleash with this new fullback in the backfield, and I will be naming the 2 defenders in the NFC East who lose the most from it. You do not want to miss that one. 2 cliffhangers before I let you go tonight. Cliffhanger 1. There is another name inside the tight end room that could be next on the chopping block, because that fullback signing is not the last domino to fall. Word around the facility is another cut is coming, and I have a strong guess who it is. Cliffhanger 2. Jaxson Dart's next preseason series could be the one that either validates this whole downhill blueprint or blows a hole straight through it. We will be dissecting every single snap. Big Blue Nation, the national desks decided our story was not worth their airtime. Fine. We built our own broadcast. Every subscribe, every Let's Go Giants comment, Every like on this video is one more voice they cannot ignore anymore. And one last echo before you go. If that grade 1 to 10 shifted after this video, drop the new number underneath your old one so I can track the movement. Chant it one more time down below so I know you rode this one to the end. New York tough. Always. See you in the next one.